Hey everyone, welcome back to Basic Binges on the Nom Talk Network, where today we actually have an earlier show than usual for these Mando shows. Typically, we like having these shows on Fridays to give folks some time to watch the amazing Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni created series. But unfortunately, this week with WonderCon coming up and everything, we had to shift schedules a little bit. So that being said, thank you as always for spending your Thursday evening, in this case, Thursday evening, what usually would be Friday evening, with us. And as always, we have a stacked show. We weren't able to do last week's episode for episode 3, but we are going to do a double show today where we cover both episodes. And yeah, I can't do that alone. That's way too big of a job. So I have two of the best people in the world and in the business with me today talking about this show. We'll start off with Julie. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Hey, Mike. I'm doing pretty spiffy this evening.
Wonderful.
I'm excited to talk about this week's episodes because I really like them. I am snacking on some more Mandalorian Go-Gurt because I'm still working my way through that box. It was a really big box from last time. And I also, I couldn't resist getting just one more Mandalorian themed treat. So I found these Grogu cake bites. Ooh. So I've never tried these before, but
oh, we gotta test what those are like right now. Like, are they?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
let's show us. You gotta show us.
So, and then I just have some iced coffee in a Star Wars mug and taquitos for like some actual protein and sustenance,
I like all your food. I noticed that I noticed that it was iced coffee because the lightsabers weren't ignited, because I have that same mug, right? When you pour in the hot water and it's the lightsabers ignite, right?
Yeah, they would be lit up with warm liquid.
Yeah, okay, you gotta tell us how to
try this just for you right now.
Oh yeah,
for everybody else who's watching who's curious. It says there's bits of apple in them and like vanilla cakes with vanilla frosting. I don't know. Should be interesting. So
it looks so good. It looks all Star Wars,
right?
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for anything cake, so
verdict.
Oh, these are actually really good.
Oh my god, yeah. I think I'm gonna have to buy some of those. Those look amazing.
It's sort of like an apple pie if it were a cake. Like, I recommend, definitely.
I like that.
All right, I love it. I love that they're Grogu colored. It's like you're eating Grogu, and little bits of Grogu. It tastes like cake and pie, which is like awesome. But no, I'm kidding. No, I gotta try some of those. I haven't heard of those, so I'll check them out at some point. But yeah, always wonderful to have you on, Julie. Mike Lee, always wonderful to have you on as well. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much for asking. Unfortunately, I don't have a snack. I finished my ice cream cone that I had. Because
full disclosure, that was my fault. That was my fault.
It will melt. So
yeah, I kept my poor colleague waiting for way too long, and the ice cream was melting. He didn't have time for the show, so I forced him to eat it. I'm sorry about that, pal.
It wasn't a photon fizzle, which I want to make right now. A light up popsicle, but we'll get to that.
I would love a light up popsicle. Yeah, I'm noshing on something kind of close. It's a little icy, and it's red, but there's like hints of Coke in there because I like mixing cherry and Coke because I'm like 6 inside. So yeah. But it's not the same as a light up popsicle, but maybe someday.
You put one of those light up cubes.
Yeah,
those strobe light cubes, and then you just put it in there, and then that'll be it.
That'll be my light up popsicle. I would love that. I can't wait for them to start selling those at Galaxy's Edge. That would be amazing. Just like the stick could be like, glow, and then you put the popsicle on top. Why not? Disney, pay me. I will make food and merchandise for you. Yes. Speaking of being paid by Disney, we should get into the review. No, I'm kidding. Terrible segue, but I would love to start with episode 3, because we didn't get a chance to cover it last week. And I wanted to see what everyone thought. I think there was a little bit of controversy throughout the internet because some people were like, it's a very slow episode. They got distracted by the fact that it diverted away from the Bo-Katan Din Djarin storyline and focused a lot on Dr. Pershing. But I think there are a lot of folks that actually really liked it too. So it was a very mixed reaction, I think, overall. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about it. Mike, I think you were one of the fans, right? I think you liked that third episode. Yes.
For what it's worth, I like that we put the brakes on the Mandalorian so far, because it was just going so fast paced, and like these people, everyone was raising the bar, and then the only way you can go up, I mean, everything that goes up has to go down eventually. So I was just like, all right, we got a nice slower pace kind of episode. It sets the stage for what's been going on the other side, that the characters I don't want to say forgot about, but the characters that have been kind of benched for a little bit, because everything's been set up for Din and Bo-Katan. Now we get to see what's been happening to Elia Kane and Dr. Pershing, because now they're being rehabilitated and meeting with their robotation officers, I guess, and so
absolutely, 100%. And by the way, mad props to Katie O'Brien, who's having just a stellar year.
Yes.
After Quantumania, and now Star Wars, she's just making her way through the Disney bingo card, and we love you, Katie O'Brien. You're awesome. I actually didn't know who Elia Kane was. I mean, we saw her in several episodes, but she wasn't really named, right? She didn't really have a character or story.
She was comms officer. That was it, honestly. Comms
that was
officer.
It. But now we get to know her a little bit. Now we see a little bit about her that's very dark. I think there's a pitch black nature to this character, but that I find very interesting, that I hope that they dive into, but even Pershing, Mike, you hit the nail on the head when you said, like, it's nice that we're getting a break from Din and Bo in a way, because we get to explore so much more of this galaxy and of Dr. Pershing. We get to go back to Coruscant and everything like that. So really good points all around, honestly. Julie, what about you? What did you think of episode 3?
Yeah, I liked it. I agree. Like, it's nice to get a break from the main character. I feel like every show has to do that at some point. You have to kind of divert and have a couple little side stories going on. Otherwise, you kind of lose the interest a little bit, Not that this story that is happening currently is not amazing and fascinating, but like, you gotta have some break in it, and you gotta have some. And then I'm assuming that this is a setup for a much larger overarching plot, is what I got the feel for. Like, I think we're gonna run into them again with Mando and Grogu at some point, so that's why we're getting all this backstory. And it is interesting to see, like, I don't think I've ever seen this part of the Star Wars story. I mean, like I said, I haven't watched any of the cartoons or whatever, so I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's out there, but like this rehabilitation process of like from coming from the Empire to the New Republic, like I've not seen that. So that was really fascinating to me. Like, I was like, whoa, like I didn't even know that was a thing, like that they were trying to do, it was like, that's pretty cool. So yeah. And I'm interested to see where Elia Kane's dark turn goes, because that kind of was like plot twist. Whoa.
Yeah, there's a bit of a sadistic streak in her, I mean, when you see her crank up the volume on I guess, what do they call it, the relaxing massager? I don't remember what they specifically
something
called
like
it.
That.
Something like that.
The refreshing massager, and
he uses it too.
Whatever.
I used it. Come on,
the Mon Calamari guy, right? He's like, yeah, I like her. It's great. Oh,
it's a trap.
It's a trap.
He said it. Dr. Pershing said it's a trap. It's like, you said the thing.
I literally turned into Leo DiCaprio in that meme, where Pershing says, "Oh no, it was a trap." I was like, "Oh, there you go." Yeah. So I love that they reference it in front of a Mon Calamari, and the Mon Calamari guy is probably like, I get that all the time, pal. I get that all the time.
That's not me. Stop doing that. I'm tired of it.
That's funny.
I gotta be honest. Okay. So forgive me for this. I'm going to be the outlier here. I was one of the people that was not a fan of that episode, actually.
Okay.
Like,
Alright.
okay. So here's the thing. I love Andor a lot. Andor is such a good show, and when you explore the philosophical sides of this war, and you know, I mad props to them for taking this theme of, you know, hey, you know, this is happily ever after because the good guys won. Is it really though? You know, is the New Republic any different from the Empire? I love the idea of sowing those seeds and kind of exploring that. I also like the idea that we're getting, you know, bits and pieces in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, where the cloning program is probably inevitably going to lead into Snoke, you know, and the creation of Snoke as a clone. So they're really using their Mando series to build plot holes in Rise of Skywalker. But that being said, I love that idea that you're going to explore that. The problem with it, though, the problem that I had with it was Dr. Pershing himself. I was not compelled by his character. I just don't think he had a good justification for really defying the New Republic. And I didn't think that the New Republic was, you know, I mean, is it bad that they're using Imperial tech to actually torture people? Absolutely. That's really bad. But at the same time, you know, I mean, the rules against cloning, they were pretty clear to me, and I thought that was actually like, that's probably a positive thing. I mean, to go against that and to fight tooth and nail to do illegal activity, because it just wasn't a strong enough motivation for me to follow him across the episode and to have me sympathize with questioning the New Republic. You know, that was the issue. And I really wanted them to kind of do that. But sorry, I'm gonna stop there. I want to know what you guys thought of that, like of you know, did you guys feel the same way, or were you guys more sympathetic to Pershing, which is totally understandable, by the way?
I was slightly more sympathetic towards him because,
Sure.
you know, I felt that, you know, the whole cloning organ thing could be, you know, used well, you know, in certain circumstances. And what is that, given that you have like a, what is that, a committee, an oversight committee of sorts. But you know, that's getting way too complicated and political.
Yeah.
Even for the Star Wars thing. But yeah, I felt like, you know, he had a good reason to do this, to go on this kind of quest to find the, what did they call it? What did they call those cubes that he was looking for? I can't remember. But he was looking for a certain item, a certain MacGuffin, I guess, that he needed, and then we all know what happened after that. But yeah, so I felt like he had a just cause to do it. He just didn't follow the right people, I guess. That's how I want to say it.
Elia Kane, definitely not the right person. I mean, the right person, I suppose, for the New Republic. And she's definitely if she is truly loyal to the New Republic, then that's a symbol of the extreme, you know, kind of terror that she represents, the bad side of the New Republic, I would imagine. So, but yeah, fair enough. Julie, what about you? What did you think? Did you sympathize with Pershing?
You know, I did, but I also understand this side of it that is outline cloning too, because I'm just kind of like, I feel like, can we find like a middle ground? Because here's the thing, like, yes, organ cloning could save lives. Literally, I liked his story about how his mother, like, if like how if organ cloning had been around during that time, like, what was it, her heart or her lungs, or I forget, or liver, I don't remember,
something like that. Yeah,
sorry. I'm zooming on my phone,
okay.
and sometimes you get
you're flipping like Grogu.
Yeah. So anyway, but so yeah, so whatever would have saved her life, I was like, yeah, I think that could save lots of life. Specifically organ cloning, though, like, and that's the problem that I think the New Republic has, is that it's a slippery slope, because you start organ cloning, then it leads to people cloning, and like it's a whole thing, and that is like it's like an ethics boundary, right? Like, but
Yeah.
I do sympathize with him. Like, I do feel like, you know, like kids save lives, but also like in the wrong hands, it could be really, really bad. And I think that's what the New Republic is trying to prevent against. So I'm kind of like torn on the issue, I guess.
Yeah, I think that those are great points, and it's a very complex issue. You're right, and obviously this isn't a political show. We're not going to get into it or anything like that. But
Sure.
if you guys think about things like stem cell research, right? There's a large group of people out there that are against the idea of stem cell research and everything like that. But then, you know, look at all the good that stem cell research has done and could do,
Right,
and could help with. It's absolutely a very similar topic, but in the Star Wars universe. But the problem is stem cell research has never been used to create an army that wiped out the Jedi. So I'm like,
right.
when you've gone through that with the New Republic, obviously I understand why the New Republic would completely outlaw something like that, because the dangers of it, you know, if you're cloning something or people or armies behind the scenes and nobody has any sort of awareness of that, then you can literally use those armies to overthrow everything. And who knows? I mean, like, we don't know where this is going to go. Well, actually, we do know where this is going to go. Cloning is going to persist. Someone's going to try and clone Palpatine, and that's going to lead to Snoke, which leads to the First Order. So I'm going to revert my stance from a mixed sort of bag to no, cloning sucks in this.
Like they know what they're talking about. Like, there's a reason they're not letting this happen.
Like, Snoke's gonna be created, and the New Republic people are gonna be like, "God damn it! I thought we freaking ended this," you know.
Right.
But yeah. Well, that being said, though, the one part about Pershing that I did sympathize with, I think we, you know, whether it's in our jobs or in our daily lives, this idea that we're being told to do something, you know, and it's almost mind-numbing in nature, whether it's work or something like that, and you question the value of that work, and you yourself have, like, you know, potentially what you consider to be better ideas than what people are asking you to do, but you're still forced to abide by what those people are telling you to do, the structure that those people have in place, and carry out those ideas. Sorry, I'm projecting work life into podcast life. But that being said, I get that, and I kind of sympathize with that. So I definitely understand that. What do you guys think about that? Did you think that portion of him, like, really being given these orders and then feeling that need to defy them and not defying them is absolutely soul crushing to him? Did you guys feel like that part was pretty sympathetic as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, because like when you're like this, well, you know, brilliant scientist, brilliant doctor, brilliant whatever, like whatever field, and you're like one of the best in your field, and you have all this years of research and years of techniques and stuff that you want to be using, and then you're forced to do something that is completely different and completely not using your skills. Yeah, that would be a little hard, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's just I guess a victim of his circumstance, because like he believed that by working with the Empire he could have done something better, because I guess at the time the Empire gave him all the tools he needed and he didn't know any better, or he should have known it better. But after he's been rehabilitated, he's been reduced to basically a base kind of employee drone. Basically, he doesn't know, you know, he doesn't know any better. Not doesn't know any better, but he's just a shell of his former self. Like, you know, so that's what I want to say.
Where do you guys fall on Elia Kane? I mean, do we like her at the end of this episode? Do we absolutely hate her at the end of this episode? What do you guys think? You like her?
I like this. I like this whole dark twist, and unfortunately we don't have any more, you know, characters that she can, you know, screw around with anymore, because but yeah, I like this kind of twist that she, you know, she's a kind of this unassuming, she leads you down this like kind of, she makes you drop your guard sort of, and then you believe in her and everything like that. So I really enjoyed that. She just like, you come with me, you know, don't worry about it, you'll be safe. We get to see a little bit more physicality to her role as well, because she's jumping off trains now, so which makes me think there is some training there's a lot more training to her than we let on that we are led to believe, because she says she has some training. So I don't think she's just a calm officer. She has something else under her sleeve as well.
Yeah. Julie, what about you? What do you think?
Like, I mean, like you're saying, great acting, because she really knows how to like make you fall into that. Like she's very charismatic. Like, but a lot of villains or whatever are very charismatic, and that's how they create their following, you know. And so she's like a perfect example of that. Like, because but yeah, I don't know if I like her. I mean, as a character, yes, but like I don't know, like just like, cause I mean, villains are fun to watch, but
yes,
the end of that, when she turned up, I mean, I knew it was gonna happen, I knew it was coming, but like it still made my stomach churn when she did that. I was like, oh no, like I really wanted you to be on the good guy team. Like, but
And I'm curious what you guys think. I mean, to what point and purpose do you think? So my theory is like she actually is still working for Moff Gideon, but she's a double agent of sorts, and she's pretending to work for the New Republic to torture Pershing into going back to working against the New Republic, you know, and by having him turn against the New Republic completely, you know, because they mistreated him and they tortured him and all that stuff. Like, he'd be more willing to spearhead and, you know, accelerate any sort of cloning programs that, you know, were teased in that second season. That was my theory, but maybe she's also just a New Republic person that likes torturing former Imperials. You know, I mean, who knows? That's, you know, we don't know her story. Like, she could have had family that was killed or murdered, or, you know, a lover that was killed or murdered by Imperials, and she just wants to every single one of them to suffer. I mean, we don't know. Wanted to know what you guys thought and what theories you guys might have as to what role she's going to play in the grander scheme of things.
I honestly like your theory on she's a double agent, honestly. And she believes in the gospel of Moff Gideon, and now that Moff Gideon's escaped, or so we think, she could be feeding him information. It is overly elaborate, you know, she has to be there, and you know, at the same time that he's there, but you know, that's how movies work anyway, right? That's how these kind of shows work. It's perfect coincidental timing. But yeah, it's just fascinating how we get to see this evolution of this character that didn't have too many lines in the second season, but now we get to see her again, like more physical roles, more dialogue, and we get to see a little bit more layers to her character. So
absolutely. Julie, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know, like, where it's going. Like, that was my big thing that I was trying to figure out, is like, what are her motives, like what, you know. And but you know, I thought I did have too was, I mean, if she turns up the thing all the way, doesn't that sort of like erase a lot of his memories or something? So like, maybe there's some information, because he was comparing it to the mind flayer, which I think just wipes your mind completely. So maybe there's some information that he has that she's trying to not let get out, or something like that too. Because that was a thought too. Like,
very true.
Because I mean, he's gonna be kind of useless if he doesn't have any of his memories. So there must be a good reason for her to need that gone or something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, it's very possible. And now that you say it, the double agent thing is, you know, the wheels are turning in my head about that, because rather than, you know, my convoluted theory about her turning him back to the dark side, it's more like now she's working for Moff Gideon to ensure that all loose ends are tied up and untraceable back to him by eliminating.
Yeah, that definitely could be too.
Yeah. Really quickly, I wanted to give a shout out to Q Ball, who's on the talk, and Boba Fett as well. Hey guys, thank you for watching.
Hello.
They Q Ball redeemed hydrate, so everyone, cheers.
Luckily I have this.
Cheers.
Cheers. And then he also redeemed, suggest a poll, who was the most evil from the Star Wars franchise. I think you meant Palpatine. I think you wrote Constantine, probably an autocorrect mistake, but Palpatine, Darth Maul, Vader, or Kylo Ren. I anyone want to contribute? I'm gonna say Palpatine personally, but yeah, want to see what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I'll say Palpatine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say him too, because he was the creator of all of the chaos, essentially. Like, not a lot of things would have happened without him. Like, everybody immediately wants to go to Vader, and don't get me wrong, he's got some dark shit going on, but like, Palpatine is the reason that Vader exists, and a lot of these bad guys exist. So,
yeah. I mean, you gotta credit where credit's due. He's a super genius. Jesus Christ, I mean, to elaborately plot how long was this? About a 10-year, 20-year, evil plan.
Yeah.
And then completely wipe out all the Jedi as part of that plan, which he succeeds in.
Right.
Yeah.
I only can imagine his dream board.
Yes.
I was also just going to say, he is also one of the few characters. Well, I mean, Darth Maul, like, it doesn't really get a lot of screen time, so I don't feel like you really get a backstory from him. But, like, for the most part, you see remorse in a lot of those other characters.
Yeah.
Palpatine, you never see, like, he doesn't regret anything that you can never, I mean, not that I've ever seen anyway. Like, Darth Vader has moments of remorse. Kylo Ren has moments of remorse. Like I said, Darth Maul, I don't think, because you don't really get to see much of him. He's probably regretting it when he gets sliced by a Qui-Gon, but like he's also, that's another like sign of like sure evil. If you're not showing any remorse at all for anything, you're just, it's like
it's unlimited power. I mean, that's him. I mean, that's how evil can you get. So just as an FYI, Julie, I recommend watching some of the Darth Maul episodes from Rebels.
I was gonna say,
that's on my list.
There's some redeeming qualities to it.
Got some great redeeming qualities, some great episodes. He forms a really good relationship with one of the main characters. It's dark, but it's not, and it's somewhat manipulative, but it's not without his admiration for that character and the potential respect that he has for that character as well, which is more than you could say for the way that Palpatine was using Vader or Anakin. Maul uses a character in Rebels, but there's a little bit of admiration, respect, and affection there that Palpatine really never had for Vader. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. He's such an interesting character when you peel back those layers. And
I'm sure he is. I only know him from the movies, so
absolutely. And those movies, they didn't do any justice to his character.
Good to know. I'll have to do some diving. I definitely am down to learn more of the lore and the backstory of some of these characters. So yeah,
absolutely. I do want to move on to episode 4, but before I move on to episode 4, I do want to just see, we had 2 really quick bookends in this episode, because it wouldn't be a Mandalorian episode if you didn't have Mandalorians in them. And they sort of continue in a brief 10 minutes the story of really Din Djarin and Bo-Katan. And we start with some really amazing space battle sequences. I love just Bo and Din fighting off these TIE fighters. And it all ends up being this ruse, which is like the biggest twist of all, because they end up just bombing the crap out of her castle, which is like the saddest thing ever.
Oh my god.
She loses more. It was tough, right? It was tough to watch. What did you guys think?
I was gonna say it's tough to watch because she already lost her people. Now she lost, the last piece of her identity, which is her home. So she has nothing left, basically. So yeah.
Absolutely. Julie, what did you think of that opening?
It was sad and unexpected too. I was like, oh shoot, like all that just happened like really fast,
Yeah,
I did. I also enjoyed watching them fight together, because they're both so incredibly skilled at it, you know, and it's just like, like these they make a good team. And
they
I was
really
like hoping like somebody would say that, like, we make a good team, you know, but they're not at that level yet. I don't think so.
They're not.
But
Okay, forgive me. I might be the only person who thinks this, and forgive me because it's gonna sound a little vapid, but God, they have really good sexual chemistry, right? Like,
I have to say, I think so. There's some tension there.
Something hot about
that in a good way. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, I'm pretty.
I don't necessarily think I will be unsatisfied if they don't get together, because I don't think the story needs to go there. But if they do,
it shouldn't go there.
If they do, I'm not going to be sad about it either.
I think it's just sexual chemistry between Pedro and Katie, and it's just
which is a mark of really good actors, and like you said, really good chemistry between actors, and that can just happen, which is great, you know.
Yeah, I just want to see Mando sex with the helmets on and shit.
I think Peter Sharetta from Slash Film put in a question about that on ChatGPT. Yeah.
I don't know if I need to see that, but it's an interesting thought.
Well, we have to see that because they can't take their helmets off. So
true. Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be with the helmets on. So
yeah, I mean, it's just like, this is the way, you know. No, I'm joking.
Oh my God.
Sorry. Hopefully this doesn't.
Oh wow, that's a whole other way to look at it. No, that was hilarious.
But
I was just gonna say, oh sorry.
So
go.
Maybe
I was just gonna say that the only other thing I was gonna say about your comment on the opening of the episode is that it's sort of an interesting lead-in to episode 4, because now you see that she has nothing left, and I think that's why she's a little bit more accepting into the Mandalorian way, as we'll see later. But and we're gonna talk about that when we get into episode 4. But yeah, so
100%.
It's just interesting, like tie-in.
Yeah, Mike, what about you? What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna I put in a text a link to what Peter said about it, because he said he inputted he asked ChatGPT if ChatGPT was Dave Filoni, and I don't know if you guys can see it right now, but yeah, the answer was it seems like it's going in circles, honestly, but I don't know what you guys would think about that. Should I
read this? Should I read
this? Yeah,
this
you can read it. That's what I'm saying, because I don't want to read it because I'll sound like I'm rambling, basically.
Okay. No. Let's do it.
Okay.
So the question from Slash Films, for those who are watching, Dave Filoni, how do Mandalorians deal with intimacy since they can't remove their helmets? I love it. Yes, we have to talk about this because we're already talking about this.
Yeah, we're already on this subject, so we might as well talk about it. So yeah.
And I guess this is supposed to be Dave Filoni. Is it
as
really
ChatGPT, right? So that's yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So as ChatGPT, Dave Filoni wrote, well, when it comes to Mandalorian culture and tradition, there are many aspects that are steeped in secrecy and privacy, including matters of intimacy. As you may know, Mandalorians have deep respect for their customs and rituals, including the practice of never removing their helmets in the presence of others. This is going so well so far. While I cannot speak for all Mandalorians or the intricacies of their personal relationships, I can tell you that intimacy and connection are important aspects of any culture, and the Mandalorians are no exception. It's possible that they have developed unique ways of expressing affection and intimacy that do not involve removing their helmets.
Oh, good Lord.
There's a little bit of voyeurism in that first paragraph too.
There's a lot of voyeurism.
Of never in the presence of others. Like, who's watching this?
In the end, it's important to remember that Mandalorian culture is rich and complex, and there is still much we have yet to learn about their beliefs and practices. As a storyteller, I am always interested in exploring the nuances of different cultures and challenges they face. So perhaps one day we'll have a chance to delve deeper into this topic.
So again, It's important to know that everybody that Dave Filoni did not say this. This is a chat GPT speaking as Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
That's so funny.
I actually thought that they did a good job pretending to be Dave Filoni. The one thing that is certain, you know, in Mandalorian culture when it comes to sex is that they use protection. So that's all.
Beskar.
Yes, they it's Beskar. You know,
nothing. That's 100% no accidents at all. You know,
they you know they got a lot of guns and dark sabers and shit like that. So those intimacies are spicy. Okay, so having said that, sorry. Having said all of that, we end the episode because Bo has no longer has a home. And in my opinion, by the way, I think a large part of where this is going, especially in like the fourth episode, to me, has direct ties into the final moments of that second episode. I think what I love about this season so far, and I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, so forgive me, but what I love about the season so far really is that we're looking at this as Bo-Katan's season, in my opinion, I think. And when we start out with Bo-Katan, in the season, she's somebody who's completely despondent because she lost hope, she lost faith. In fact, everything that she put her faith in is the exact reason why she no longer has people. And then she loses her home as well, you know, and she goes to save Din just out of the goodness of her heart, and because I guess they kind of sort of are pseudo friends at the very minimum. And, you know, I think that moment where she saves him and she encounters the mythosaur, for me, that's the transformative moment in her life, you know? And I think all the lives of all Mandalorians, for that matter, especially going back to the prophecy that the armorer said in the book of Boba Fett, the rise of the mythosaur is going to lead to a new age of the Mandalorians. And I think that I think moment is the reason that at the end of episode 3 and throughout episode 4, we see her starting to accept the way in some ways. Like, she's very, very cynical about it. She scoffs at it. She's lost everything. She's lost her home. She sees the mythosaur, and what happens? She starts kind of thinking about everything and questioning everything. And, you know, maybe there is actually hope. Maybe there is actually something to these legends, this faith, this religion that she put her stake in. And I think it's that redemption arc that we're going to see and you know, down the line. But it's funny because this way of life that she has scoffed at her entire life, and especially now when everybody left her, it's coming back and people are accepting her. And that's where episode 3 really leaves off, right? Everyone starts accepting her despite the fact that she's, you know, her way of life diverted from theirs. She bathed in the waters, she hasn't removed her helmet, and they welcome her back into the Mandalorian culture. That's kind of big for her. And she needs that in this moment. So it's going to segue into episode 4, but I'm going to pause there and just see what you guys thought about that ending, about the idea of Bo's journey and this idea of her being accepted by these people after she's been cast away by her own, you know. Yeah, open forum.
Okay, so I'm fine with that aspect. I just feel like it's moving a little bit too slowly for me.
Sure.
I can see, because I've had my qualms about it. It's like, it feels like there's no direction. But once, you know, I started reading, you know, some reviews and some afterthoughts about it, I agree with what's everyone's saying, especially you, Mike, because you've been such a strong advocate for the direction of the season, and it's great. I just wish it picked up the pace a little bit more.
Sure.
But that's just my thought on it. But yeah.
Of course. What do you think about Bo, just in general, as her character, and her being accepted by these people?
I think that's a great direction for her. Like you were saying about her, after losing everything, after, you know, losing her faith, losing her people, losing her home, she needs some sort of I guess light, some sort of something that reaffirms her faith in her beliefs, and her identity, basically, because she's lost everything, like I said previously. So now that she has a home, that she has people to to rally behind her, she can finally find that thing that she's lost so much. So
yeah, absolutely. Julie, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I would say I pretty much agree with what you guys been saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where this goes with her. It is pretty cool because and it's pretty cool because you can sort of sense like her slow but gradual acceptance into what's happening, even though you can't see her face anymore because she's wearing her helmet, but you just kind of get that sense, like just body language, whatever, that she's very apprehensive about it at first, but then slowly starts to accept it and come into it, and that's kind of cool to see. And yeah, it's like Mike was saying, she needs something right now because she's lost everything. And I think it's a community, she needs a community, and she's gonna get it if that's what she wants, if that's what she continues to work towards, so
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the community, I think that that's really how, if we're going to describe episode 4 in a nutshell, I think that that's the perfect way, that's the perfect single word to describe it, as community, because it's really what this is about. The episode's really about the Mandalorian people. And I think when we start out the episode, we see it's actually, their sect. We didn't get to see that much of it in the first episode, but it's actually grown quite significantly since Din first met the armorer. And we see so many Mandalorians all on that beach. No one's afraid of giant alligators popping out and eating them for whatever reason. I don't know why they're not afraid of that. It literally keeps happening. Bad animal shit keeps happening. But anyways, I don't understand it. They it's like they moved to Jurassic World or some shit. Anyways,
they picked an interesting place to camp out. It has all these terrifying predators.
They picked Isla Nublar. I mean, that's so stupid. Come on, guys. God damn it. Don't pick Jurassic World.
There was definitely some Jurassic World reminiscent things in there for sure.
Yep, right. I was like that, and Mike, I think it was your tweet that I saw that really sparked the Jurassic World comparisons, because I think you did the spoiler free, the context free spoilers, right? Like with
yeah.
And I was like, the Mesosaur was like Jurassic World. So I was like, oh, I'm kind of playing off of that, sir. But yeah, I think we start seeing not younglings. I'm so used to Jedi, verbiage. Foundlings. Seeing foundlings training. And I love it because this is the first time we see Grogu in a combat situation, really, intentionally in a combat situation. And it's just awesome. He's fighting against Paz Vizsla's kid. And man, I mean, it's so, when you don't know Grogu like we do, and you see this small little thing shimmying there, you're like, yeah, that thing's screwed, but then I mean, what'd you guys think of this? Come on.
I compared it to one of those moments, family gatherings, and all the kids have to play together, sort of thing. It's like the little kid has to play with the older kids and everything like that. So I saw it like that, sort of I don't want, he's not my age, sort of thing, and I could beat him up, sort of thing. Like, why would you want me to do this? And it's so much fun to watch how that whole scene played out. And just to see how, like you said, we were saying about the community, how the community's kind of trying to keep their creed alive of sorts by training in the old ways. And so
Julie, what about you?
Yeah, I love that scene. I mean, he's our boy Grogu. He's gonna pull some shit. He's gonna figure it out. But also, you do have a moment of is he ready for this? I mean, he's fought much bigger things and won essentially, but this training for combat, this hand to hand, fighting against each other kind of thing. You know, you're just like, oh, like he's already like growing up so fast. He's like gonna be made to grow up so fast, you know. But then he is what they said he's like 50 or something. So like, technically, you know.
I mean, even from, and we have to get into this, but even from Order 66, which we get in this episode, to now, you know, that's about Luke's age, basically, if we think about it, right? Like it's a full grown Luke Skywalker time period. So it's at least 20 years. So if nothing else, however old Grogu was when Order 66 happens, plus 20 years is how old he is here. So he's he's actually pretty old. But
I mean, you know, it's like dogs, right? Like they age differently than humans or other species or whatever. Like, you know, he clearly ages a lot slower, because if he's already like 50 at least and he's still acting like a child, then it's like different. But it's just like, well, you know, you think like, well, I guess he's not that young, but like he's still just, he's little baby to all of us, you know?
Yes. Just let him play with his rock crabs. Go on.
I know. I was like, let him play. I was like, he's having fun. He's exploring a new planet. Let him play.
I kind of loved, you know, when we think about Grogu species, Yoda species, as it were, which still doesn't have a name.
I was actually curious about it too, but
like, what are they called? Yes, exactly. But you think about how they fight, and we think about how Yoda and Yaddle fight, and it's a lot of flipping, it's a lot of force jumping, you know, and it's like we're starting to see that in Grogu, the force jumping thing, you know. So I thought that was kind of cool. Of course, you know, Paz Vizsla's son gets snatched up by a pterodactyl, which I think they call a raptor, which is interesting. Again, like I said, they're in Jurassic World, and while they're going, birds of prey, exactly. While they're doing all that, the armorer brings in Grogu, and builds for him a Flava Flav clock. I'm sorry, I'm gonna call it the Flava Flav clock. That literally, like when she put it on his chest, like the first thing I yelled out was Flava Flav.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
On his,
I thought it was a giant wok at first, honestly. It's like,
I wasn't sure.
We don't use this cooking utensil,
like,
so we're just
gonna
doing
something.
It does look like a wok. It had like a little like divot, you know. So,
it had a little divot. So it's like, yeah, we don't cook with this anymore, so we're just gonna give this to you.
Just stick it on your chest, kid.
Oh my god, that's funny.
You'll be our pot kid. Which is this? It's still sweet. It's got the Mudhorn sigil on it, but very important and probably the highlight of the episode for many people. As Grogu is seeing her build the Flava Flav clock, there's a flashback to Order 66, and you know, as the armorer tells him, the forge really does, you know, it brings about trauma, and it reveals like past histories and everything like that. And we finally get to see the answer to who saved Grogu during Order 66 on Coruscant. And it was one of the most unexpected moments, I think, in Star Wars history. There's so many theories. Some people thought it was Senator Organa. Some people thought it was, you know, a famous Jedi, like, I don't know, let's say Kanan or someone, you know, like big. And it ends up being Kelleran Beck, played by Ahmed Best, in a wonderful redemptive role for him. For those of you watching who aren't familiar, Ahmed Best is the man who notoriously played Jar Jar Binks. And it ruined his life. It ruined his life, unfortunately. Yeah. Everywhere he went, he got hate mail. Yeah. So Star Wars knew that it ruined his life. They had him do a lot of these hosting kind of gigs, whether it was Star Wars Celebration. And one of those gigs was called Jedi Temple Games, I think. It was a game show in the thousands. And the host of the show was Ahmed Best, but as a character named Kelleran Beck. And that was his job, was to train Padawan. So yeah, I didn't know any of this until last night, where I was like, Googled Kelleran Beck, and I was like, oh, he actually was a character. So that being said, gonna pause there because I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm sorry. And ask you guys, Keller and Beck, go. Let's talk about it. What do we think?
No, this is all very fascinating. I did see that. I saw them announce that he was going to be in it and he was going to play a role. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like he gets to play some not like crazy hated character, you know. But yeah, I liked the character. He's pretty likable, like off the bat. Like he didn't, have a ton of scenes, but I already liked him. Like, he was like, it's cool, I got you, kid. Like we're gonna do this, like hop on my motorbike. Like
yeah.
But yeah, and well, I mean, I'm also glad that I think like Jar Jar Binks like is maybe slightly less hated now. He's considered part of essential Star Wars canon. Like you can hate him or like him, but nobody's I hope not. Nobody's still sending like hate mail to the actors, whatever, which is just ridiculous in the first place. But also I think that happened to Jake Lloyd, didn't it? Like that's kind of one of the reasons he quit acting. Anyway, that's a total tangent. But yeah, Keller and Beck, I'm on board with this character. I want to see more of him.
Absolutely. Mike, what about you? Keller and Beck?
I can't say any more than what you guys said. You guys gave him so much praise. I just like the way that he moved and all the how he deflected all the blasters and what he had to do to get from point A to point B. That was not easy. And just to see that he was able to save Grogu, I wish we could see more of him. Or no, we'll just have to wait and see. But it's been great too.
I bet we will. I mean, just him with the two lightsabers, just going.
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
So freaking cool! So freaking cool. We're so happy for Ahmed Best. Honestly, I hope we get to see more of Keller and Beck. I think a new fan favorite character has been created, and I mean, how do you redeem someone who played Jar Jar Binks after his life was ruined by that? You give him the character that saved freaking Grogu, the most
Grogu. Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. Well done. Good strategy there.
Good strategy there. We love Ahmed Best. Now, what a difference 20 years makes. But yeah, it's, by the way, it's the Star Wars hate cycle. New Star Wars comes out, everyone hates it. 20 years later, it's a classic. So
yeah, or they hate. Like they love it first and then hate it immediately after, because that's what I've noticed. Like, because when I went to go see those prequels, my friends and I, we all loved them, and like everybody, the buzz around them was very positive at the time. And then it was maybe like the year after that it started, just like everybody just decided they hated it, and I was just like, but yeah, you're right. It's a Star Wars hate cycle.
It's the Star Wars hate cycle. In the year 2043, we're going to be celebrating Rose Tico Day, and I hope that comes sooner, because we love Rose Tico.
Yes.
Everyone else fucking hates freaking hates Rose Tico, which sucks because people can be toxic. But Kelly Marie Tran, we also love you, and we're glad that you were and just like Ahmed Best, we love you too, Ahmed Best. So that gets the Grogu stuff out of the way. Really, I think the meat of this episode was the raptor chase, and the quest to get Paz Vizsla, his son, back, I guess. And the amazing thing that we're seeing really is Bo-Katan becoming a leader, to these people. It's a small following so far. It's definitely one where everybody starts to trust her, but especially Paz Vizsla, which is kind of ironic because Paz Vizsla's relative Pre Vizsla, also played by Jon Favreau in the Clone Wars series, his squad, Death Watch, one of his members was Bo-Katan. So Bo-Katan followed Pre Vizsla, and now Paz Vizsla is kind of following Bo-Katan. We're full circle. Sorry. But yeah, we're starting to see Bo-Katan come into her own, leading this mission. I want to know what you guys thought of this half of the episode. I know that there are a lot of moments where I was just kind of like, that's an interesting choice. But then it served really that grand purpose of building Bo's character into like a leader. So for me, I really liked it, but I'd like to know what you guys thought. Mike, I'll start with you.
So these are, I had mentioned in my kind of criticism, but that they had these great character moments, and this was one of them. Just to be able to see how she feels a sense of community finally, like we've been saying, how they all rally behind her, and it's finally great to see that she's found what she's been, what she's been losing so far, and we saw how much pain she's going through since episode 1, and sort of how throughout these 3 episodes, because episode 3 doesn't really count, but how throughout these episodes how she's building up back her belief in the creed that she lost. So yeah.
Absolutely. Julie, what about you?
Oh, sorry. I have this little alarm going off in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shut it off. It's a long story. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, I guess I would consider myself, I'm not exactly like the harshest critic in general, but like, yeah, I will point out some things of like, why was this way? Like, why did they do that? But no, I liked it. I liked seeing, like, it was cool to see again her like gradual acceptance, like that they accept her, but also she's kind of starting to accept them as well. And I love that scene where she was asking like, how do you eat, like,
yeah,
and that's an important question. Like, I always wondered that myself. So
it's just like, how do you have sex in the Mandalorian?
Right, exactly. As we were talking about earlier.
What?
But like, it showed that she's actually like interested in trying to figure out how to navigate this culture and trying to figure out like, can I make this work for myself? And then it was pretty cool when they were like, well, you are a leader of this this expedition, so you get the fire. And she was kind of like, oh, that's cool, yeah, I'm gonna take the fire. Like, cool, I can sit by the fire and eat my thing, and like, so she's like I think there's moments there where she's like, okay, like they make it work, I guess it isn't like half bad, so it's pretty interesting to just see that progression. That's, I think, what I like the most about this episode.
The thing that I find interesting, and this is where I've got theories about where this season's going to go. And if I'm going to be blunt, I think it's a civil war situation. I think it's going to become a civil war situation. There's enough people for them to actually have a civil war. I mean, hell, if the Avengers could do it with like 10 people, they can do it with like 50. But in this case, what I found interesting was the reverence that this party had for her, even when she's sitting by the fire. It was growing stronger as the episode persisted. And it was only concretely even more so solidified as soon as she comes back successfully with Pre Vizsla's kid. She had pulled off the impossible, which I think everyone around in that community actually witnessed and saw. So the amount of faith that they have in her as a leader increased tenfold. I also think that she's starting to believe in herself as a leader because of the mythosaur moment, which is why at the end of the episode, she's asking the armorer about the idea of the mythosaur. And the funny thing is, let's be honest, the armorer kind of dismisses her. I mean, the armorer's like, no, you just had a vision. You just had a vision, And so far, everybody's been kind of following the armorer this entire time, naturally, But now I think a lot of people, I'm not saying that they're splitting up right now, but due to the fact that there's the potential for conflicting beliefs between the armorer and Bo-Katan, I think that a civil war could potentially break out if people, if Bo-Katan like removes her helmet and says, you guys don't have to do this. We follow the way, but we follow the way differently. Enough people might actually follow her because of the good that she's doing for this community. And we wouldn't believe something like that if that's going to be the case later on. We couldn't believe something like that if we didn't have an episode like this where she rescues this kid in kind of a silly sort of plot line, Land of the Lost style, but nevertheless effective enough. I mean, that my theory is only, but I want to know what you guys think. That's probably just me spitballing, and nothing's going to happen that way. But yeah, I don't know. Theories of your own?
Yeah, I kind of like that theory because again, like she lost her people, right? So now she has to build, a new following of sorts, and what better way to do it than to save Paz Vizsla's kid, and then, she could use that, against the armor and say, you know what, you didn't go out to save Paz Vizsla's kid, I did, and he respects me for that decision, sort of thing. So I could see how she could manipulate that in a way that would benefit her, to build back her following and bring them back to, not necessarily Mandalore, but whatever that other, I guess Concord, whatever that planet.
Concordia.
Yeah, Concordia. Yeah. So yeah,
that's very possible too. Yeah. Julie, what about you? Theories?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely see that could go there. Yeah, I hadn't even really thought about that. That could be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I want to see that, but that's not my decision to make, obviously. But like, I don't find that like a Civil War plot line like that interesting. Like, I would much rather see her like struggling to overcome all of her prejudices against like the Mandalorian culture, and but then finally accepting, like that would be much more interesting to me. Like, I just feel like a Civil War is like, I don't know, too easy. Like, no offense to, like, I think that's a great theory, absolutely, but I don't know, but I can definitely see it going that way too. I don't know.
But you're hoping it doesn't, of course.
I'm hoping it doesn't. Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't, because I would, like I said, I'd much rather just see how it plays out with her maybe being accepted into this clan or whatever, and just see see her own inner struggles rather than outer struggles. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I like that idea, because I think you remember Book of Boba Fett, how really the big buildup was to have Boba Fett ride a freaking Rancor into battle and like take out people with the freaking Rancor. I honestly think this entire season is building up to her riding a freaking mythosaur and like wielding the Darksaber in the most like freaking heavy metal sort of way. And that would be like the ultimate symbol of her conquering any of those internal issues and prejudices, like full on embracing all of that. That's the mythosaur, the legends, the Darksaber, all of that. That would be cool. But yeah. We do have 2 redemptions from our friend Cue Ball. One is hydrate, so cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Sorry, I'm almost out of icy. I'm at the actual ice part. And then Mr. Lee, you have been chosen to do You're So Punny. So we need a pun from you, sir.
A pun. Well,
yes.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of one off the bat right now.
It's so hard when you're put on the spot, like,
right? It just doesn't flow naturally. So I can't catch. I don't think I can catch this one.
Of a conversation, and you just think of something that goes with the conversation, But
so now I'm trying to force it out.
Oh, there you go. There's the pun. Right? Wait, was that the pun? Was that the pun?
Was it. Yeah.
That was it? Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to force it out.
That's totally
I loved it. Yeah, it worked. It was subtle. It was clever. It, I liked it. Ball, hopefully that was satisfying for you as
Come on, please. That's the only thing I could.
Great job, Michael.
It was well done. I thought it was very subtle and unexpected, and it worked. So well done. Guys, I want to talk about this forever. I wish we could talk about it forever, but I know that we are at time. I want to just say thank you to everyone watching, of course. And of course, thank you to you both, who are just amazing co-hosts in this entire endeavor, in this entire adventure with me.
Well, you're an amazing host.
Oh, yeah. No, co-host. We're all co-hosts. But that being said, I want to know where everyone can find you. Julie, where can everyone find you?
I am at Raelyn, and that's JRAELYN on Instagram, and I am at JRaelady, JRAELADY on TikTok.
Very cool. Mike Lee, where can everyone find you?
You can find my writing at That's It LA. We Live Entertainment and The Nerds of Color. And if you want to look at me on socials, all socials, my social is I am Michael J. Lee right over there. Yeah, I'm trying to get the spacing right. There we go. I am Michael J. Lee right over there.
Perfect. And I've been Mike Manalo. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TidyBoyBoy182, but most prominently with my colleague Mike Lee at thenerdsofcolor.org, and that's at LA.com, but also whattowatch.com. Until next time, folks, next episode will be on Friday, next Friday. We'll talk more about more Mando course. I guess if that's what we want to call Mando intercourse. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to talk about Mando course. But
I mean, probation officers, right? And then
yes.
You got probation officers and Mando course. Yeah.
But that being said, thank you guys as always, and stay tuned for more basic binges. I believe our next show, I want to say, is forgive me, guys. Later this week, I will get back to you guys on that, and we'll post it on social. So I apologize. But that being said, definitely tune in for the next Mando episode on Friday next week. Until then, everyone stay safe, have a great one, and thank you for watching.